I want to say it's going to be 3-2 because I think these teams really have got so many things they can pull out of the bag, and so much could just turn on a dime. Like, anything is possible when it comes to these two teams. Coordination, initiation, vision. They're the key things I'm searching for in these matches. But I'm going to say 3-2, and I'm not going to pick a favorite.
All right, Andy, Lumi, Shane, get your predictions in before we head into the draft. If you want to play Mystic Bruno's game, where he just predicts everything.
I feel like Alliance should win, just based on the fact that they've looked fantastic so far in the tournament, but I've underestimated Cloud9 once against Empire. I think it's very close, but I still think Alliance will probably end up edging them out. I'm just wondering if Cloud9 are going to ride that momentum after beating Empire. Also, important to note before we get Lumi's predictions, sorry, I'm taking some time here, but we talked about the other day the potential of playing a super long day, but since Empire were actually knocked out after winning the first of the loser bracket matches, then you have the series where Cloud9 basically had a warm-up game, right? Yep. Which can make a big impact because you feel a bit more comfortable, you haven't had to move at all, you're not reconnecting everything, you know, so I think both teams have like these unseen advantages as well.
The way I see it is, in the best of 3 series that we just saw, Cloud9 actually beat Empire 3 games. Because game 2 was essentially unlosable. They lost because they just messed up. Happens to the best of them. So I feel that if you count it that way, they look really, really good.
It could have been a 2-0.
3-2, Cloud9. But before we move on to Shane, Bruno somewhere out there, I thought we had a hat thing going on. I don't know why you just put on a hat without... Fuck you, Bruno. Alright, move on.
Lumi was waiting on his time to put on the hat.
We had it we planned it for weeks! For weeks!
Okay, Shane.
I'm going to go to Alliance, and I'm going to say 3-1 because they've just been playing so solidly all tournament. And Cloud9, they have been playing really, really well, but there's been weaknesses at points.
Yeah, it's important we don't forget Alliance are in the finals because they've destroyed every game thus far. So Cloud9, yes, they've turned up and they took that match, but of course they did have a hiccup in game 2 that they maybe shouldn't have had. But either way, Alliance are the team to beat here. So it looks like the draft is on the way. So to get us into the draft in hype fashion, Toby style, I will ask you to introduce game number 1, Toby, and send us to the draft.
I could do that for you, James. So
the vocal challenge.
The vocal challenge. You want to do it?
You'll take it away, Toby.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are here. It is the DreamLeague Grand Finals. Alliance going up against Cloud9. Game number 1 of the best of 5. To the draft.
I like it, Toby.
Woo! I'll be here all week. Try the veal.
I'll never be able to do that, ever.
Really?
Well, I just stepped away from Bruno while he's doing that, so I don't get my ears ruptured a bit. But I think that will happen throughout the game, throughout the best of 5.
It's okay though, I got a buffer. You're sitting between him and me, so I'm good to go, you know?
It's fine, man. There is no buffer when you give me a PA system.
That's true. That is actually true. So we're inside of the draft already. We can see that Alliance have actually gotten their hands on Tree. And Tree's a hero that we were talking about, maybe even ban-worthy against Alliance just because of how well they utilize it. But Cloud9 pulling out 2 of, I would say, the most common counters to the hero in general, the Darkseer and the Jakiro, for their own rights. Like Jakiro basically nullifies a tree armor, right?
Sure.
You throw 1 liquid fire on a tower, tree armor is no longer really relevant. Darkseer is great because Ion Shell eats through the ability. But as many times as I've seen these counters picked against Alliance, it never actually works.
It doesn't work. I think the delay factor of living armor is still enough. I mean, you might not get the full heal, and that's if there is liquid fire. A lot of these fights involve, for example, Jakiro dying or not being there to throw out that liquid fire, then Tree just gets healed up. And they won so many games off of this opening. Treant plus Nature's Prophet, and they get the same picks again.
How are you really supposed to push against this kind of stuff? Like, you got Treant Prophets, you got an army of minions, you got living out to protect the towers. Does Cloud9 just try and go for the full-on push here? Like, you got a Darkseer and a Jakiro, you're not looking at tower killers just yet. Like, how do you break through without having to go, chip damage over time?
I really liked what Alliance actually did themselves. I think it was on maybe day 1 where they ended up picking a surprise Pugna pick as their last
when
hero.
they ran on the safe lane?
Right, and they ended up just blowing up the entire side of the map in like 20 minutes or so. I think that's definitely a style that you can play against Tree because he doesn't actually want to go into these group versus group situations pre-6 because you really want to get at least 3 or 4 points into your living armor. You want overgrowth, and with a Pugna, you can so quickly just transition into this death ball-y push that you get a massive gold lead, and then all of a sudden you lose all your map control as Tree and you don't have anywhere to get levels. So I think that's a possibility, but Cloud9 don't typically do that kind of thing.
No, it also comes with a massive risk as well because like, if it doesn't work by like 20 minutes, if you haven't taken like every single out of tower or you're or encroaching on ranks by 20 minutes, you're basically sitting in a position where it's like, okay, how do we actually end this? And going up against a hero like a Nature's Prophet, you know he's going to be jumping out there, creep skipping out the waves, and making it very difficult to breach high ground.
I think the other way to take down this kind of pushing strat is just go for like a 45, 50-minute, 60-minute kind of late game where, okay, I win one fight, it doesn't matter if you have true or not, I'll just take your tower and tier 2 as well. So you just win the fight in the long game where it doesn't really matter at that point what towers are still up.
Yeah, I can see that.
But here's a problem though. That means you're playing without tower go advantage for a very long portion of the game. And to me, Alliance is just playing a almost flawless game. And I can't say the same for Cloud9.
Yeah, a strategy that involves giving up your towers, I don't know if I'm okay with against Alliance. Like maybe other teams, because they're not as good as maybe abusing the advantage that gives you, but Alliance are the ones who are going to be like, okay, you give us these towers, you're not going to get any map control back. Like we're just going to consistently pressure you. Plus, let's be honest, you always want to see the long game. Yeah. So you're biased.
Well, I mean, I think long games is where Cloud9 is best at.
No, I'm just, I agree actually in some sense. It's just 79-minute game. You never forget.
They can always try and go for they can try and go for both sides of the coin right now. If you can find some early game aggression from like a mid solo, like right now I've almost got like Slark on my mind with Iron Shell to try and get some kind of like aggression into these heroes. Someone that could chase down the Nature's Prophet, so like Blink Slarking or Storm Spirit or something along these lines, because you've already picked up the Darkseer, so you can't really go for a Clockwork.
Ooh.
Okay, this kind of works anyway, so we get a lot of global control.
Storm here? I think they storm like right now. S4 has already shown how well he can play it. The Brewmaster's already banned out, so they're not going to be able to give it to Loda. But I was thinking about Ember Spirit just because of how good he is against Nature's Prophet. Like No-Tail brought it up too when we were doing the TriCast with him.
The lawnmower.
The lawnmower and the sheer mobility that you have. You can actually go into trees or sprouts or anything like that, use the Searing Chains to cancel the Prophet's TPs, and you don't really care about a Nature's Prophet in general because he has no lockdown. He has no way to actually stop you from doing what you do best, which is kind of be mobile and kill everyone. Plus, Sing plays the hero amazingly.
I think you want to wait for a little bit longer for the Storm because there is a possibility of Ember safe lane, and you can pick a hero to capitalize on the Storm on the mid lane. Wisp is going to get picked out, which is a hero that Toby talked about. I was also thinking of something like Disruptor, which is a hero that earned Alliance so many more kills yesterday and counters Ember Spirit great. But in this case, we're going to see something similar of yesterday where you have Nature's Prophet with Blink Dagger, essentially blinking out of the trees, applying an Orchid, relocate on top, and essentially it doesn't matter who you have on the side of Cloud9, they are just dead.
And let's also remember that this has actually happened to Alliance before. A similar draft.
Yeah.
Not exactly the same, but the Flying Rat evolved from that game, and it basically crushed what I think it was Empire actually they were playing against.
I think so,
when they played that originally. That's who knocked him down to the lower bracket in the first place. So we have seen something pretty close to this before, but not having picked the mid yet for Alliance, I'm kind of wondering if they're still going to gravitate towards that kind of space-making mid, like maybe a Puck, maybe a Storm. I kind of like Storm a bit more just because it gives you more carry potential. Puck is the all-in kind of initiate mid-game and try to restrict as much map control as you can, which isn't a bad thing. Just depends on what kind of one role you're going to be picking for your team.
I'm still wondering who the combo is with a Wisp. Like initially I thought it was going to be something like a Gyrocopter, just trying to counter the massive team fight control which Cloud9 are pulling in. But at the same time, it's like, do you try and go in for something more like the Tiny? Do you focus on bringing down the towers? Or you try and focus on the Ember Spirit and even mix up your lanes, like drag out the Ricky Maru, throw it up against that Ember Spirit in middle lane, and try and shut him down before he's able to jump himself around the map, as opposed to like Storm Spirit always chasing after Ember. Like, I know you said before, like Storm Spirit was really great up against him, but Alliance might try and go something. It's not out of the comfort zone. They've done almost every single strat I just said, but they're going to go. Go and Sven again.
Wisp Sven is what they played yesterday. In terms of damage output, it's completely unparalleled. And of course, if you look at the picks from Cloud9, these picks are great if you're not buying a BKB. So if Sven gets an early BKB, that could be dangerous. And it's hard to predict what Alliance is going to go in terms of laning as well. We saw this particular trio of Trine, Wisp, and Sven go offensive trialing yesterday. They swapped it back to defensive trialing a little bit later on during the game, but Alliance essentially could do anything, and it's just hard to draft against that.
The other thing, too, that I wanted to mention about this matchup is we've seen almost this identical draft from Alliance already. Like, almost hero for hero, I want to say. But the thing about the Sven-Ember matchup is that even though Ember, sure, he's highly mobile, there's not really a whole lot of opportunities for the Sven to hit. With the Warcry plus armor and the innate way that you build Sven in general means that the Sleight of Fist doesn't really do nearly as much to the rest of the team if you're fighting in that kind of deathball, right? And with the mobility of Prophet and Wisp Sven, you're turning any fight basically into potentially a 4-man if there's one hero there to start with. So if you're going to gank, you better be damn well sure no one else is going to be coming after that, or you're going to be in for a really sad time. And I think it synergizes well with Tree, just because not only are you moving around the map, but that means that Tree's going to get a lot of solo experience to himself whenever you're actively going for ganks. It allows the Tree to armor fights anyway because it's global. And then you're also making sure that you're creating space for him to heal up towers that might otherwise be damaged from earlier pushes. So there's just so much synergy between how these heroes function with each other, and including against how Ember Spear works. I think the way they make use of these heroes is just fun to watch.
What would you say the weakness of Alliance draft so far is? Or does it have no weakness?
If there is a weakness, I haven't figured it out yet. And I don't think that other teams have either, because I don't think they've lost with this particular draft.
Package of heroes, yeah. I mean, I'm inclined to agree. There's something to be said of if Cloud9 group up and do a deathball push. I think that's where Treen is weakest.
Yeah.
Like you said, he doesn't want to really take fight before level 6. That's where Living Armor doesn't really do much to the tower. At the same time, that's where Relocate gets better. That's where Prophet Split Push gets better. It's just a hard thing to crack. And Cloud9 is off to their final hero. I don't know if they're drafting carry anymore, because this could be a support tie. This could be a carry tie for Eternal Envy. Who knows?
I don't know, man. Choices. I mean, with these kind of team fight-oriented heroes that Cloud9 have, they could delay the game a really, really long time.
And they've been doing that today, right?
Yeah, the question is it worth delaying the game against the Sven? Because there's going to be that point in the game where it's like, okay, Sven has 3 core items. BKB, Daedalus, Mask of Madness, 1 God Strength, 1 good crit, team fight is over. Do you want to take that risk? That's really what I'm kind of asking myself right now. And interestingly enough, Mirana has been totally ignored this game. I think Sing Sing already has this hero, so I don't think that's going to be what Cloud9 are taking here. But going from very high pick priority to non-existent, how volatile this meta is.
I guess how volatile has the team's been changing as well.
Yeah.
The teams themselves have been preferring different hero as well.
There's no trends either. It's like everybody's doing something a little bit different. They see something like, oh, maybe we could do this same thing, but with another hero instead. And it might work in this situation. So I think the captains of every single team are continuing to evolve as we get closer and closer to TI as well. And of course we have ESL 1 after this. So.
Well, there is a trend for Cloud9. And I think this might be a carry Alchemist.
It's kind of got to be.
I think Sing is the only one who plays Ember though, right?
Yeah, no, like a one Alchemist.
Okay, yeah, I agree.
I hate to say it as well, even though I'm like not one to reveal the Cloud9 secrets, but when these guys were actually playing downstairs practicing yesterday, there were 3 of their players are sitting down there, and it was Ember Spirit on every single one, apart from Ao, who's just playing Jakiro.
Okay.
These guys have been like training and just need to know Ember Spirit a little bit more. But Puck will come up from Alliance right now, so we actually get S4's Puck in the mid lane.
And that's actually a pretty confident pick. What we saw out of yesterday's matchup between Ember Spirit and Puck is when you get the Searing Chain on the Puck, he can't use his phase. And that's actually a huge deal in terms of like ganking and Puck on the mid lane. So S4 feeling confident because he picked a hero for himself. We'll see whether it's going to work out though.
Yeah, man, I'm looking forward to it. So we're going to get ourselves out of the draft. So before we kick off, I know the crowd is insanely biased, but I just want to do a quick crowd check, boys. So how many people here, the fans of Sing Sing, the fans of the Summer, how many people here are looking for C9 to take out the best of 5?
10 seconds remaining.
Okay, let's get it out of the way, peoples. Swedish, you're biased. Alliance! I think we have our response from the crowd.
I think it was kind of close.
Yeah, it's about the same. Yeah,
a little bit. You know.
I mean, I saw the gray face for Cloud9's share, so you know that counts for something, right?
So yeah, so every grey face in the Twitch chat actually stands for a Cloud9 fan.
No space.
No space.
No space.
Sorry. Anyway.
So Toby, you were right on about the Envy playing Ember Spirit.
Yeah,
I haven't seen it in a pro game before, but I guess you said they were practicing it downstairs?
Yeah, I don't know if they're just trying to get used to it, or if it was just like, oh, we all just random Ember Spirit, or they just want to get a little bit more familiar with it. I know Cloud9 are very, very serious when it comes to like the way that they approach their games, the way they approach their strats kind of thing, so maybe it's just everyone just get used to the hero. So like, if you're going to support this guy, you know how you're going to do it. It's kind of funny because the two guys who were inside the same game together was actually both Aoi 2000 as well as Sing Sing, and they were like talking, communicating the entire time about the movement around the map. But yeah, I'm going to see. It's been interesting to see how well MV goes with this one. Running Safe Flame, obviously we're getting a lot of farm. How fast do we get that Battle Fury? How fast do we get the second Battle Fury? How fast does MV actually have an impact on this game? My main question when you're going to Profit and a Sven, who are going to be looking to make a lot of havoc around that 10-15 minute mark.
The thing I love about Alliance's drafts, when they do stuff like this, when they have the double global teleportation, they have a very long range initiator in the puck. It's just so much mental pressure on the opponents once you reach that stage in the game where everyone has their ultimates, because you can farm a lane and you can just be dead in 2 seconds if they say, okay, yeah, we can jump this, especially once the puck gets its blink, because that's going to be, okay, I'm coiling, that guarantees a relocate every single time. And that's got to be something that you're always going to have to remember if you're on the side of Cloud9. There's some tree and blocking going on here in the camp. Going to be a bit annoying. They might not actually block it completely. Looks like Aoi and Paladai are going to be able to get out, so yeah, good on them.
Out in time, the camp gets to spawn up, and hey, 2 early kills for the support heroes up there. So support Tidehunter as well as Jakiro. I wish Admiral Bulldog the best of luck on this lane, but Boost First at least allowed him to keep some distance. I'm interested to see how Ember Spirit is actually built from Eternal Envy. Like, do we try and go Sleight of Fist? Do we try and catch just Profit out before he's able to walk away with the extra searing chains? Or do you just go, Immolation up, fight for the mid game?
I think it depends on how he's going to play it. Like, if he's looking to gank more, certain builds benefit from that. With that said, though, he is playing the safe lane, so he's going to get a ton of level. Maybe it doesn't matter. Maybe he'll just max everything as he reach, level 12, 13.
I think getting the value point of the Sleight of Fist in these types of lanes is really important because it gives you the range to be able to actually searing chains, and they will be able to kill if a Bulldog gets out of position ever. Like, it's very, very dangerous for him, and Bulldog's probably one of the best, if not the best, Nature's Prophet players, I think, just ever. So he's not going to let himself get caught out too easily here. And if he can just continue to have a safe game and let S4 do his job mid and let the supports and Loda farm bottom, it's going to be all action mid game.
I look forward to that one. It's also like you're noticing Cloud9, Bone7's going to realize it now as he comes back. There's a sentry wall blocking up the Ancient pull for him, and I'm pretty sure this is meant to be like some burst farming coming in for Sing Sing a little bit later on when he gets the high points up in the acid spray. But until he gets through this ward, the stacking, maybe he just thought he screwed it up before, because there was a Black Dragon that was a little bit loose on the end of it, but he's going to realize as he goes for a second pull attempt that this is useless now. And he's getting nowhere near the amount of experience that Admiral Bulldog is getting, even though Aoi is trying to zone him out with his liquid fire.
And that's really the difference between the two supports, right? Wisp Tree just runs at you, you can't do anything, and he's going to just go back to the jungle. He's not going to be able to really catch up that quickly either. But meanwhile, looks like the Cloud9 support trying their best to deny some of that experience as well by pulling the creeps across. And all this meanwhile, Loda is just farming.
Well, both the carries are pretty much farming away, and actually Envy has a bit more CS at the moment. One of the differences between playing against Ember and the last time Alliance ran this draft was the Ember, I believe, was mid instead of farming in the safe lane, which means that the Battle Fury is probably going to be coming out just that much quicker. And I think as soon as you get the first Battle Fury, the farm accelerates so much. It's very similar to how an AM functions when he gets his first Battle Fury. Not only in teamfight potential, but just in terms of being able to kill stacks. You get like a couple points into Sleight of Fist, stacks, no matter how stacked it is. It doesn't matter if you have any tankiness at all, you can just Sleight of Fist spam it to death. So there's a lot of ways you can abuse it, especially on Dire side, because I think that their Ancients are actually harder to contest. So it's nice for Alliance that they actually sentry warded the camp a bit early to prevent it from getting stacked and obviously making Bone7 waste a little bit of his time.
Yeah, Bone7 is just not having a good time. He's forced to go base level 1. He's got his bottle now, but not even having level 2, he can't even surge back to the jungle. He's going to spend a lot of time there doing nothing. So it's really up to the supports, Paladai as well as AI 2000 to create some space. Also, like if you look at heroes like Alchemist and Emperor Spirit, they don't do much till a certain point in the game. So I feel like Alliance has a lot of time to do whatever they want. And again, a trademark of that Tree and Protector, if you look at his levels, he's going to be quickly getting up there.
I'm actually wondering how Sing Sing's meant to get a kill on this mid lane. Like, Puck phase shift is always going to save him from a concoction. Like, the flight time of that is just so long. And even Tidehunter, like, Cloud9 was looking for the opening. He comes in, he gushes the Puck. It just slows him down a little bit, but he's still able just to get him off the way. So S4, he's going to feel so confident. He's level up on the CS board right now, and of course Sing Sing doesn't get any advantage. He's going concoction, acid spray, nothing more apart from that, so he's not getting any kind of bonus goal from this. And Paladai, he's spending a lot of time just wandering around. Like, this is a guy with like
maybe get in with Invisrian. Okay, or you stun yourself. he knew he wasn't going to go for the kill. And you can tell by his skill build. Normally if you go solo mid as Alchemist, you do prioritize the stun, but in this case, he knows it's not really going to work, so he's going to have the 3-point to acid spray and just go for the farming edge. And look, I mean, the CS is pretty even, so...
Is this the greatest thing though? Because your Tidehunter's going to take a long time before he's going to get to level 6 now. I know the jungle's getting very cramped because Bone 7 also facing up against the dreaded mud golems, but he's in the jungle taking all that up, so Tidehunter can't even stack this, and he can't have the Ancient stacked up to farm it with the Anchor Smash because of the... Okay, the Sentry Wall's now actually timed out, so we can come down here and stack this, but that's like the first point to go, and you're only level 2 on Tidehunter, so it's only a level 1 Anchor Smash with no Kraken Shell.
I think with that said though, Cloud9 really heavily rely on these stacks in these situations because they know that in some way their supports are going to get under-leveled, and all they have to really do... Oh, Bone 7, he's so low on health right now!
That's trouble. That's real trouble. He's been chased down the mud gold. Yes, misses up the hill! Bone 7's going to get himself away to safety, and now Admiral Bulldog, he may not get out of this one unscathed. Admiral Bulldog summons some trees, looking for a body block, and Envy, he's actually got steering chase, 2 levels in the Iron Spark to hold him here. This will be first blood right now. S4 comes in with a dream call, looking for some revenge. It's 1-0 right now. Owie 2000, he's got high strength, trying to get out of this one. Leechy's slowing him down. It's 1-1 on the board. RK also running away. EGM trying to help him out. It's another concoction steering chase, holds 3 of them together. Concoction flies out, something EGM and S4 together. EGM, now you'll go down. Envy with the double kill, but the jaunt away from Puck will pull him back down towards the middle lane. And 2-1 now on the ball with C9 taking the lead.
Great fight for Cloud9. I mean, when you rotate away from the carry lane like that, you expect to get something done. And they've done it in big numbers. That's generally where Alliance is really good at. But unfortunately for them, the first blood attempt did not work. And also, well, I'll talk about that later.
Highlight's eye. Stormbolt, EGM's giving them the movement speed for it with the Warcry, and Admiral Bulldog comes down to health. Alliance will level the board up 2-2.
I gotta say, Bone 7's really happy about that uphill miss. That's all I got. That's all I got, man. That Dota RNG, but it's still 2-2. And getting the first blood is definitely a big deal if you're Cloud9, but your safe laner actually rotated for that pretty heavily. So he's not really behind in CS or anything like that. He actually got 2 of the kills, so it's more than worth it from his perspective. And that puts him just a little bit closer to Battle Fury. By the way, I think this is the first time I've ever seen an Orb of Venom on Ember, but I like the idea, right?
I mean, like, you just chase and hit.
Yeah, you just hit him.
And in fact, he's got no side of fist, so I think having that extra slow will help out in the long run. Also, a small thing to point out is that when Bone 7 was getting chased in the Radiant jungle, he actually dropped a ward trying to block the camp, but is now being dewarded. So they're down a little bit of map vision. Not the biggest point, but looks like we're going to see a little bit of a tier 1 push up top from Cloud9.
Well, they're able to do this. So you got 3 points up in Liquid Fire, costs no mana to do so. So going underneath the tower when you got a catapult, Envy mobs up the creep wave, the new one comes in and tanks it up. And what are you really going to do to stop this? Like, Prophet could come up here to stop this, but he's going to stop his own farm. He doesn't have Wrath of Nature yet, and the tower's already at half-life. So fortification has to be used. But you don't have something like a Rubik with the Fable. Living Armor is the only thing that can stop it. But this is the whole thing, like, can C9 actually finish the job before Alliance come in to stop him?
And I think they can. I mean, Glyph is down. Generally, if you want to defend the tower, you glyph it pretty late, but here comes Nature's Prophet and a TP, so never mind. This is a TP from a Puck with his ult on, so it's a fairly dangerous, and they're going to go for the deny. This is actually a big play from Alliance, and they will have it go their way. Well done.
I was wondering if they'd actually keep it alive or not, but you see the 2 points up in the Leech Seed as opposed to the Living Armor for Treant Protector, so they had no way of really salvaging that.
Middle tower is
That's kind of what we mentioned during the draft, though, is when a Jakiro gets to your tower, you can't really armor it anyway. Even if it's a level 4 armor, it's going to fade just from like 1 Liquid Fire. And especially when it gets to level 4, you can continually apply it. It's only a 4-second cooldown, and it actually lasts longer than 4 seconds. I think it's 5-second duration, 4-second cooldown. So either way, Jakiro definitely nice for continuing to just deal guaranteed damage to buildings like that. But I think that reacting like that, like sending the puck mid, just just wasting little bits of time, giving Sing the opportunity to have a pretty easy early game, to be honest. Like, both mids have more or less gotten free farm. But I think that S4 actually has to do a bit more for his team than Sing does, because a late game Alchemist is actually insanely tanky. And you're also going to be putting into consideration Ravage is going to be there, the Ember Spirit's going to be there on top of that. I think that Alliance actually might be pressured to do a little bit of movement this game.
Obviously, Emerald Bulldog's going to have something to say about late game carry, but yeah, I agree with you, Andy. I feel like the late game power of Cloud9 is really, really strong, but Alliance is doing a very beautiful job of keep blocking the Ancients. This is like the third or fourth time they try to stack this, and it just ain't happening.
But it's not stopping the farm though. Like, time's taking a while to get to level 6, but you actually check out the Darkseer money. He just picked up a minus 9 minutes into the game. I was wondering what he was going to do with the, like, he was sitting at 1800 gold for a while there. But Bone7's still putting a lot of money out of that jungle to a point where he's actually B-Nature's profit on net worth. It's a sacrifice to the Tidehunter, sure, but eventually he'll be able to just get himself up to that level 6 and he'll have the Ravage.
The Midas is a bit of a risk to me for obvious reasons. Like, you're delaying your mech pretty heavily by going for the Midas first, and you're playing more of the we're going to wait it out game. You're assuming Alliance aren't really going to prioritize pushing towers for at least some time. You want the Sven to get maybe one completed item, and S4 get a little bit of government. Oh. Top lane, there's a pretty big dive going on. Envy, I believe, has a remnant out.
Oh, what?
Radiant's top tower is under attack.
Either way, he pulled out. They're trying to engage across 3 different points of the map.
Is he rushing as Scotty?
No. Really?
I mean, he's got the point booster, and he's got the...
I saw the Orb of Venom, and I was like, okay, that's actually pretty cool, right?
Yeah.
Because you can Orb of Venom everybody that you hit with a Sleight of Fist, but he doesn't actually have Sleight of Fist. And he's got a point booster. But if you think about this, Ember has one of the crappiest stat gains of any hero. So it's a value item in the sense that you'll be able to live maybe through a stun or two, which I think is valuable to have against Alliance's lineup. But does he finish?
I'm not sure.
I think he's going to, man. Like, again, though, eavesdropping and looking at what they were doing, but Sing Sing was actually practicing around with this Skadi build. I didn't see it coming out from Envy. He actually went a little bit more standard as far as his build went, but yeah, man, I think he's going to finish that.
Middle lane.
Yep, the Dream Call's going to go. Sing Sing, though, Chemical Rage, and in comes Ven. Chemical Rage will not protect you from this. Now he's TP'd in, hoping to get himself like some kind of like ice path to give some space for the Alchemist, but just too little too late. So gank will work, and they go back to farming at the bottom lane.
So just going back to the Scotty for a second, if you look at the skill build that Envy's actually doing, it makes a lot of sense because, bottom lane is going to hold that thought. They want to try to dive here on the highlight die. That's only a level 4 Tidehunter. They kill him immediately.
Envy, though, he's looking for some revenge. He's backed EGM into the corner with the steering chains. He can't tether out for 2 more seconds, so he's forced to stay there. Ends up being a 2-for-1 trade over the course of the last 30 seconds, but it's in favor of Alliance again.
Yeah, here's the thing though, whenever like Loda goes to ganking, he gets to go back to the lane and keep on farming. And Envy's the one that's buying TPs and going from places to places. So yeah, small leads here and there, and that's why Alliance is one of those teams that just does better than most other teams, because they take advantage of these small leads.
I think this mobility is too good, man.
Yeah.
Like,
Radiant's
how do you deal with a
tower
hero
is under
being able
attack.
to just come back to a
Dire's
fight,
bottom
or be
tower
relocated
is
in,
under
or be
attack.
anywhere on the map at any given point? Like, Dota is such a game of efficiency nowadays, in terms of how much farm you can get during an allotted time.
Envy might be in a little bit of trouble.
They got the Invis rune there, but it's going to be rather obvious when you see the tethered unit coming in with the spirits, but Envy packs himself up anyway.
He's got one of his ultimate orbs. He's actually going to get a very early Scotty this game if he continues at this rate.
Depends if he can keep these kills coming in, because it still is Envy going 3-0 as far as the kill count goes. So he's got a nice injection of money, but he's still behind the Sven. Like, Sven's now going in for what appears to be, like, he started Mask of Madness, then he's going into BKB, so Loda is currently, like, between 2 different completed items at the moment.
I think he got the Value Ogre Club, and he's going back for the Mask of Madness, which, I mean, it's a much better farming item, so...
Yeah, it is, definitely.
Well, they got to keep going on the lanes though. Pilot Die, he's finally got himself some space on the lane. Top lane, Tidehunter trying to approach level 6, but you're seeing how defensive he's being. He's so worried that someone's just going to come up here because there's so many heroes missing. And also, speaking of Alliance doing this, it's like, no Tidehunter did this, and they plagued DreamHack back when Envy was actually part of the team now known as Alliance, but I mean, a quad ancient stack, it's a lot of money coming in for Loda, and he's now going to Mithril Hammer onto the BKB.
Just the small difference of your supports warding their jungle, their ancients, and their supports not doing it to yours.
Yeah, it's happened again too.
It's a huge deal.
Now
late.
load up, stun's gonna go. He dodged it with the chemical rage. And Alliance brought a lot of support in for that. That was all 5 players in the middle lane looking for the pounds to push to tier 1.
Transformational spells. Actually, only Alchemists, right? That's the only one that could still dodge stuns. I think the Bear.
Trollroller can't anymore, right?
No, Trollroller cannot. But yeah, one of the two.
Lone can.
Lone can, but the transformation is so long.
Yeah, that's true.
Bone 7's gonna get really if they drop a sentry ward for this ancient, they're gonna notice that again the camp is being blocked up, but that observer ward's only got like 10 seconds left. You boys okay?
Yeah. Lumi's.
We're touching each other.
I had it coming. We'll say that much. But I think honestly, like, Alliance is still more than okay with how the game's going right now. I kind of see what Cloud9's doing when they're talking about the Scotty Ember Spirit, because normally that's a hero where you catch him, he's just boom, dead, right? But if you go max Flame Guard, you go max Searing Chains, and you have that much survivability with a Scotty in the very beginning of the game, it's going to take quite a bit of work to take you down. Maybe more than enough to give time for the Tide to line up a nice Ravage. Then you're going to have Darkseer potentially getting his mech sometime soon. Bone 7 actually bought Arcanes instead of finishing up the mech, so it's going to be a bit more delayed. But I think that Cloud9 actually has some really scary fighting going on right now.
And they're not afraid going to the Roshan pick. Kidman, they're fighting against a Dream Coil as well as a Overgrowth. And they don't have the mech yet, but they're coming in.
Oh, BKB now done on Lotus, so...
This is like the perfect time for Alliance to challenge the Roshan fight.
See, I'm wondering if they have to fully challenge it with the haste rune on S4.
Oh, they want to take a fight.
Where is it? S4, there it is. 3-man the Dream Coil with the Rip. So already got the time down. Now he's hiding inside the pit. And Zingzi doesn't know where to go. This one, the relocates come in. They're looking for the opening. Zingzi loses the cleave. Now he's dying inside the pit. Alliance, they are walking over C9. Envy is running away. Spirit to 1, Spirit to 2. And Spirit away, S4. He's hot on the tail, but he cannot control Envy anymore. But Alliance, they stop the Roshan and they take 4 heroes from C9.
They're just so good at comboing this lineup. Like, this is probably, I think, one of the most comfortable lineups that Alliance can actually run right now. You get the global presence of Nature's Prophet, the Nature's Wrath hitting 3 heroes simultaneously with S4 going in with a 3-man Coil Silence. That already, to me, is just like a lost fight. Highlight died without being able to do a single thing. When that happens at this stage, and you're fighting in close quarters against a God Strength Sven with Tether, good luck.
I just think that Cloud9 approached the Roshan pit a little bit too early. I mean, their team handles Roshan well, and in fact, while they're trying to go back to it, they're going to force S4 away. They're going to pick a double damage, and with that, maybe, especially with the spells cooldown Alliance, but they really want a mech to do the Roshan. They're going to try one more time with the Medallion, and this time, no Overgrowth, no Dream Coil, no God Strength. They should be able to do it, but it was a costly Roshan.
I do want to say that
they're coming in, man.
Hold your thought, they're coming in.
They smoke with S4 as well as Arcade.
Overgrowth is back on. Dream Coil's coming back in a couple seconds. It could be another massacre. Here we go, Coil. Ravage will come through. They'll go for Highlight Die, and they will get everybody Overgrowth on top as well. Arcade barely alive. Bone 7 goes to work. It's not good. It's not good. The spells are all here. 4 for 2. And Bone 7, it's just going to be going down. But Roshan is so low. This is so bad for Cloud9 right now.
Clutch of Bone 7. He doesn't have back, so he can't do anything about this. They've got the Aegis. Envy comes back in again. He's going to try and fight this one. And they turn to try and fight. EGM keeping it down. The double stun with the storm on. Bone 7's gone. Envy's gone. A double kill for the Bulldog. 14 to 5. The Aegis is held. 17-17 in, and Alliance have just taken 2 perfect team fights and a Roshan.
I think Bone 7 is severely regretting his Midas choice right now. Like, if he had mech for either of those engagements, I think the fights would have been totally different, because Pylai Dai would have been able to Ravage the first time. I mean, sure, he Ravaged the second time, but the heroes were already so low that they just died to Wisp Spirits.
Well, here comes the Sun. Nice dodge against Sing Sing. Pretty good at this. And here comes EGM. You can tether away, and in fact, he will. It goes to, oh, the Sun's going to come through. Not going to do too much. It's not just so much about the Midas choice. It's the fact that they went to Roshan with Midas. Just why not wait and finish your mech?
But because of it now, they're feeding Alliance. The Blink Dagger's up for Admiral Bulldog, so again he starts his DreamHack 2000 full team build. Maelstrom into Blink Dagger. And Envy, like this quick Skadi we were talking about, it's completely stopped now.
It's not so quick anymore, man.
Alright, if he got that though, if he had it during the fights, but he came back in again. Like that was even more critical. It was a buyback into a death for Eternal Envy. He lost so much money then.
Yeah, Envy's very accustomed with doing that. He'll come back.
Yeah, but if you can capitalize with the kills, great. But when you go back in there and you get a Darkseer who also can't assist you to get some kills, and you both go down again, that's the kind of stuff which just starts to hurt you after a while. Like he can't get back to the farming because he went for Skadi. There's no Battle Fury, so there's no quick farming either.
I just feel as though when you have these types of advantages this early with Alliance's lineup, it's very, very hard to lose your positioning, especially since they have this lead with only having killed 2 towers. I mean, they're going to get a third or a second tower right now. They had 1 tower, are going to kill 2, but without even having all the tier 1s dead, to have that much of a lead, like over 7,500 gold and over 10,000, almost 12,000 experience in their favor at 19 minutes? Against a Furion team and a tree when you've only been able to deal damage to 1 tower outside of the offlane tower? I don't know, man. It's looking pretty grim for game 1.
They're going again on bottom lane. Just Eternal Envy harassing Arcade down. Like this Tree Protector, he was basically standing alone this bottom lane up against an Ember Spirit with no fear whatsoever. And C9, they've realized something's wrong. They have to smoke themselves up. Got Aoi, Paladai, and Envy together, and they're going to try and group up. Bone Seven's in the neighborhood as well. They've got to try and find an opening. They need a kill to find some kind of opening here and a path back into like control of this game. Like being like 12,000 experience behind, 10,000 gold behind, you get that kind of disadvantage. You need to basically drive a wedge into this Alliance team somewhere, and maybe they're going to find it. Envy, he's actually going to see the top lane, loaded EGM series, and now Paladai commits the Ravage as well. EGM, the Broccoli's bouncing from, they try and turn it with a clean from Loda. The god has arrived. The strength with it. Envy one hit, couldn't get in range for him. He's going to keep going on the run, but World's still there. There's no bubble by Envy. The Dream call for the mini stun to help set up for it. They take 2 for 1 on the top lane. That was meant to be C9's wedge, but Alliance just basically shoved it back in their face.
They got so close, preventing that BKB activation. The chain stun was there, but they needed like one more spell, like a vacuum or something like that. And that's when you say, man, I wish I have the Wisp, I wish I have the Prophet, that gives me some global presence. They didn't, and the fight turned really, really big time.
I don't know, I think like engaging into a spend like that with an Aegis and BKB is pretty optimistic, just to begin with. BKB is not that high bottom lane as well.
Yeah, the Acid Spray's trying to give him some space, and Sing Sing, like that concoction of his. It's been a long time since I've actually seen him connect on a hero with it.
It's really hard actually against Puck, and there's actually vision cancellation as well if you sprout somebody. So it can be pretty annoying to try to land that spell like these types of heroes. And to be honest, you don't really want to throw a concoction at Sven either.
Look at that courier, it's just full of big items. That's all Sven's.
That's a full Daedalus for him.
21 minutes in.
And I'm also going to point out too the fact that Puck at 3k gold just picked up an ultimate orb. The side device isn't going to be too far away either. All the control Alliance is searching for is there.
It's going to be so incredibly difficult to play against what Alliance has got from behind, that unless Cloud9 play like the most perfect Dota for the next 20 to 30 minutes, they're not going to win this game.
Man, the perfect Dota. Look at even the rider build. Sing Sing's trying to go in for a Heaven's Halberd right now. Unless you're going to turn this into an SMY after he realizes that side device is there for the Puck. Because once that's up, like evasion goes out the window. He can't actually stop those then, because the BKB is going to stop the Heaven's Halberd anyway. I'm trying to find a silver lining here, boys. Help me out.
I am also doing my best, but it's hard because even in a situation where Cloud9 win a fight, okay, they're winning a fight to get map stability back, and they're winning a fight to make sure that Alliance aren't just going to push all their towers down that are currently remaining. But they don't want to give up. I mean, this is the finals, right? Even in a game 1, when it's looking this grim, you want to continue to just chug it out. So
it's one of these things where calling GG 20 minutes into the game is more detrimental going into game number 2 than probably anything else that could happen. I suppose if you get like a 5-man cleave to kill everyone, that could be a little bit more detrimental.
Maybe.
That's quite possible. But I'm loving this the smoke gang. The 3 Blink heroes, they're the ones searching for the opening. Now, there's a lot of support here, but the Observer Watch, this is the vision again, dropping down with the smoke, giving him position. They take out the bottom tower, they search out Sing Sing. This time he doesn't dodge it. Godstrike 1, 2, swings, can't actually get the kill on Loda. He didn't run the TP here. Envy, he's searching for the Wisp pickup, cannot claim it, but they turn back into the kill. Sing Sing, now goes the stun. He's trying to pull him back, the backpack hitting and C9 finally getting advanced, even though they have lost out, he can't even get a kill? Loader is just running himself away from this fight, and they can't get anyone. Ember Spirit, he's jumping forward and back, cannot make the distance up there. Was attempting something else, but they just drag him back out. Relocate for EGM and Loader. They'll come back out of full health, ready to fight in the mid lane again.
I think as bad as it is looking for Cloud9 right now, the fights are going to get better as the BKB charge window down. That's where your Heaven's Halberd gets more effective. That's where Tie Hunter gets more effective. And let's not forget that Cloud9 still has one of the best wombo combo lineups. Vacuum, Ravage, Ice Path into a Macro Pyre. That's a ton of damage. You can even vacuum into a Ultimate Stun for some little bit of AoE control. So if Cloud9 play it correctly, they can make some resemblance of a comeback, especially if you wear down Lotus BKB charge, but they are just so far behind that it looks difficult and it looks impossible.
Yeah. Even with the combination, getting through 1800 line points, which is only 24 minutes and you got 1800 line points to get through, you'll have to catch with the BKB down, his Master Madness turned on. And then you can kill us event. And you're right, the Alliance actually, like, they lose a lot of their power there, and that's when Alchemist as well as Ember Spirit could then start to fight. But the chance of picking off Loader when you got EGM always watching his back is so low. You're gonna need like Titan level back into Alchemist Sun with like 4 heroes just having to sit there and tank the damage from C9.
I wanna give you guys a friendly reminder that Bulldog is in the game.
Yes.
I mean, he's got Blink, Maelstrom, Orchid, Shreds.
And it begins!
Oh, they try to go for it, but Ember Spirit.
You don't actually get phone 7, but it's really not that big of a deal because they can just continue to push the lane.
They want to fight this, I think.
Can they? Like, Arcane was there. The Observer was on the side of the tree line.
Oh my
and now in they come! And that's already the Alchemist. There was an Ember Spirit! There was life points! And hope is going out the window for Cloud9 with every swing of Lotus Blade, and man, they're going to push high ground. They may as well. Nothing can stop this team.
That was not their fight.
No.
So it looks like there's still no Scotty on Ember. Things have gone more or less downhill for the side Cloud9 here in this game.
We have Blink Dagger Darts here. Hope somewhere.
That's Rax, man. They don't even have Blitz. I'm sure there's tier 2s in other lanes, so they're not going to be able to get another set of Rax, but you're now down Rax against Fury and Wisp. I mean, that is probably one of the absolute worst teams to be a Rax down against.
Yet no GG's in sight. They'll play it out.
Well, at the very least, you can say, okay, what went wrong for us? I mean, Envy started the game with a double kill, right? He goes back to his lane. He almost had what looked like to be a 16-minute Scotty. Now it's 26 minutes in, still doesn't have the item completed. But I think Lumi brought up a really good point earlier when he mentioned the fact that it wasn't necessarily about the Midas, but it was about the fact that they decided to take Roshan when they didn't even have a mech.
Yeah.
Because honestly, that first time when Pylai died before Ravage, that is already like a game-changing fight. If he Ravages there, maybe they're able to turn it around with a big combo using the Darkseer and the Jakiro, but it just never happened. And then that happened again right after that.
Yeah.
So
at this point, if Cloud9 loses one more fight, they're going to just GG out. Because to me, this smells like a desperation smoke. If you don't win this cleanup, like 5-0 or like 4-1 or something like that, it's game over. And they're going for it.
Yeah, 5-man smoke, find the opening. And if they can find Alliance here, they are going to come in from a position of power, which is the high ground. At the same time, Alliance smoke up. Now, they find Arcane between 3 on the ball, and in they come. The Ravage will go, and M4 can come. 1, 2, 3, wipe them off. How he's going to be chicken up. And GG! 27 minutes down. The Swedish home team will be taking out Cloud9 in game number 1 here of the best. To 5. GG well played indeed. GG well played.
Alright, so when I said that I haven't seen anybody able to figure out how to beat this yet, I wasn't kidding. Maybe I just don't know. Maybe somebody else has a way. If anyone does though, it's definitely going to be Cloud9, but I think Alliance are going to be feeling pretty comfortable with that game 1 victory. We can see the Swedish flag waving true for the home team, and well deserved.
It's Alliance recruits, they're getting younger and younger every time.
I don't know, man. Watching that game, even though they ended up with like a pretty awkward TP from Bulldog,